Democratic Congresswoman Julie Johnson of Farmers Branch, thank you so much, and welcome back to Ion Politics.
So good to see you again, Jack.
Good to see you. So, your reaction to the three-judge panel at El Paso Federal Court blocking the newly approved and drawn maps by Texas Republicans, they said, quote, substantial evidence of racial gerrymandering was found.
Yes, I totally agree with the court. You know, what the Republicans and Greg Abbott did in Texas to seeking to disenfranchise voters of color was egregious. And the court clearly agreed with that. This opinion is sharp and it is clear and it is concise that Greg Abbott and Texas Republicans clearly engaged in racial discrimination.
So, Governor Abbott, as you may have seen, called the ruling erroneous and said that he is going to swiftly appeal directly to the U.S. Supreme Court. Your reaction to that, and how concerned are you that the Supreme Court may act differently than this ruling by the three-judge panel?
Right. Well, let's just step back a little bit. You know, this is a three-judge panel. The main author of this opinion was a Trump appointee and just eviscerates Greg Abbott. So I think Greg Abbott is being defensive and, you know, doing his political posturing. But this opinion is very clear. What they did was completely unconstitutional and, quote, causes irreparable harm to communities of color in the state of Texas. With respect to the Supreme Court, let's look at what historically they've done in other cases such as this. We have the Alabama case, the Louisiana case, where this particular Supreme Court deferred to the trial court during that election cycle and did not disrupt that. And given how close we are to the filing deadline to our primary, my expectation is that if the Supreme Court does choose to take this up, it would apply to the 2028 election cycle, not this current one.
And so now the 2021 map will be in place, according to the judges, for next year, the 2026 midterm elections. And so does that mean that you are just going to be filing for reelection in the 32nd congressional district?
Absolutely. And I'm thrilled about that. And I've heard from so many of my constituents who are so excited that they will have a chance to vote for me again and hope I will win again, which I'm confident that I will, and continue to serve the constituents of the 32nd congressional district. You know, it's been the honor of my life to be their member of Congress, and I look forward to being able to continue to do so.
And timing has really been an issue here because the filing period began in November 8th. And here we are 10 days later, and finally there is at least a temporary resolution to this, but the filing deadline is December 8th. So obviously for you, you know what you're going to do. And talk to me a little bit about this tight timetable.
Well, I think it's significant that the trial court had the option to extend the filing period and move the primary, and they did neither of those. That is how confident they are in this opinion, in just reverting back to the original maps, and very clearly stated that there's no significant harm to the state of Texas by proceeding under the status quo of what we've all been running under, which is maps drawn by the Texas legislature. I was there in the Texas legislature when these 2021 maps were drawn. And so the court was very clear to say that this is what needs to happen. And the fact that they didn't adjust any of these timelines, I think, again, really minimizes the risk that the U.S. Supreme Court is going to overturn this, given the tightness of the deadline. So I'm expecting to file to run. I think many of my colleagues are planning to do the same. And we're looking forward to have a robust election series in the primary and the general election.
One last question, and that was just about the 2021 maps, because Democrats and the plaintiffs in that case were still fighting those maps. You didn't like those maps either. So in this case, you're saying this is the best option.
Well, it was the cleanest option, I think, in that what the plaintiffs were very clear to say, we don't have time to go through and draw yet a third set of maps. So the easiest option is to just go under the maps that had been in place, that the legislature had drawn, and that we've all been, you know, running under. And so it was the easiest option, is the least harm and minimal risk to the state of Texas to effectuate the elections. And it was just the easiest way to go. So, but this blatant racial attempt at gerrymandering and disenfranchised voters of color had to be stopped, and this three-judge panel stopped it.
Congresswoman Julie Johnson of Farmers Branch, thank you so much.
Always great to be with you, Jack.
We appreciate it.